Hi everyone, this is HMm&S video number 66 and you are most welcome for it. Today we want to talk about how to get the weighted mean in Excel. We shall first see the maths part of it, then we shall make our life easier by using Excel functions to get the weighted mean. Let's switch on to Excel and we dive deep into how to get the weighted mean. Statistically, the weighted mean or the weighted average is actually expressed like this. Summation of weights times the values divided by summation of weights. Let's make more sense out of it by seeing examples. Our first example is going to be the employees' ages data. Let's start by getting the arithmetic mean. I'm going to click on cell B15 equals to average. When I see it highlighted in blue, I hit tab to select it. So I'm going to highlight all the ages, and when I hit tab, you can see the mean or the average is 29 years. Now this is how some data sets are actually presented, but assuming instead of getting your data set like this, you actually got it like this one here. We have the unique list of the ages here and the number of times they appeared in this table here. For example, this is 30 years, and you can see from this table 30 years is appearing 4 times. This is 30 years, this is another 30 years, this is another one, and this is another one. So you can see for 30 years, the frequency is 4. When it comes to 20 years, we have 1 here, another 1 here, and another 1 here. That's why in this table, the frequency of 20 years is actually 3. So it goes on like that for the rest of this data set. That means it is the same data actually, but presented in different ways. So let's use this data set now to calculate the weighted mean. Now we're going to see 2 ways how we can get the weighted mean. One, we're going to use a single cell formula. And then another one, we are going to use the helper column. Let's start with the one where we are going to use the helper column. You can see from our formula here, we need to first get weight times the values, then we sum them up to get the numerator here. So for our case, you have this helper column here that is actually giving us the product of age times frequency. Now in this data set of ours, frequency is actually acting as our weight, and then the ages are our x values. Let's do this. I'm going to do equals to the age times the frequency. When I control enter, and then I copy it down. If you don't want to do it like that, you can actually use the product function. Since the 2 columns are actually next to each other, it's very easy to use the product function. Let's see that. I'm going to click on this equals to product, tab to select it. I'm simply going to highlight this, control enter, and then I'm going to copy it down. You can see both method is actually giving us the same answer. This one here is actually just weight times the x's, that is the age times frequency. We need to sum it up in order for us to get the numerator here. So I'm going to come here, click on this cell, equals to, I'm going to use the sum function. See it highlighted in blue and hit tab to select it. So I'm simply going to get the summation of this, enter. This is now our numerator from this formula. Then I'm also going to get the summation of the weight, which is actually the summation of the frequencies, equals to sum, tab to select it, highlight the weight, and when I hit enter, you can see the summation of the weight is actually 11. Now let's get the weighted mean equals to, I'm going to get the summation of the ages times frequency divided by the summation of frequency. And when I hit enter, our weighted mean is actually the same as the arithmetic mean, as you can see from here. That's because this data is actually the same as this data set here, but it's just presented in different ways. That's if you're using the helper column. We use this helper column here to get to this. Now assuming you don't want to use any helper column, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We have the same data set here. We can actually do it in one cell without using any helper column. Now let me first copy this one. I'm going to control C and then control V to paste it here. I'm going to click on this cell, equals to, the function that helps us do that is called sum product. You can see it saying returns the sum of the product of the corresponding ranges or the arrays, the sum of the product. That's why this function is actually a very good function for us to use. So I'm going to hit tab to select it. Now it needs array 1, array 2, array 3, just like that. In the array 1, you can put it in any order. The arrays just need to have the same height. So in the array 1, I'm going to start with the age. So I'm going to highlight the age column, and then comma, In the array 2, I'm going to highlight the frequencies and then close my bracket. Now, at the moment, if I'm to enter it, I will get the numerator here, because the product part will actually multiply this times this, this times this, this times this, then the sum part will sum it up. If I'm to hit Control Enter right now, you can see we are getting the numerator here. If I'm to scroll down a little bit, you can see this sum we got up here is actually the same as this one here. But actually that's not what we want. Let me first scroll down a little bit. I'm going to hit the F2 key to put it in edit mode. We need to actually divide it again by the sum tab of the frequency. That is the sum of the weight. So I'm going to highlight this, close parentheses, and when I hit enter, you can see we are getting our weighted mean or the weighted average. So the sum product function is actually the function that we shall be using most of the time to calculate the weighted mean. So I'm going to hit escape. Now let me scroll down a little bit. Our second example is actually a school examination example. We have 3 sets of exams: beginning of term, mid-term, and then the end of term. Here are the weights given to each of those set of exams. The beginning of term is given a weight of 0.2, mid-term is given a weight of 0.3, and then the end of term is actually given 0.5. That means the end of term is actually the most important set of exam. That's why they have given it a higher weight than the rest of the set of exams. Now we have 3 students, Elizabeth, Phillips, and Louis. They all got the same set of marks but on different set of exams. If you see very well, all these people got 60, 40, and 80 but on different set of exams. If I'm to get the sum of these, let me first do it. I'm going to click on this cell and do equals to sum, tap to highlight it, and then I'm going to highlight this. Control Enter. I'm going to copy it to the side. You can see that if we were to get the sum of all the 3 sets of exams, all these people are actually getting a sum of 180, 180, 180. Now let's calculate the arithmetic mean first. And for us to calculate the arithmetic mean, I don't want to actually to use the average function. Let me first count this. Equals to count, tab, highlight, control, enter. All of them, of course, is going to be 3, 3, 3. As you can see, let's get the arithmetic mean marks for each of these students. So I'm going to click on this, equals to the sum divided by count. Control, enter. When I copy it to the side, you can see all of them is getting the arithmetic mean or the average of 60%, 60%, 60% each. If you use the arithmetic mean or the arithmetic average, you can actually not consider the weight of each of these set of exams here. Now let's calculate the weighted average. Then we see the difference between the two. I'm going to first of all calculate the weight times each of these individual marks here. So I'm going to do equals to cell B30. I'm going to do a make cell reference here. If I hit the F4 key once, you can see the dollar sign is actually put before B and then before 30. That's before the column reference and also before the row reference. That means both the column and the row is actually locked to this cell. So when I move my formula to the right hand side or down or anywhere, the cell reference will stay locked to B30. When I hit F4 the second time, you can see the dollar sign is now put before row 30, but B doesn't have any dollar sign. That means when I copy my formula to the right or to the left, B will move to C, to D, to E like that. But the row will stay locked to row 30 even if I copy my formula down. Now when I hit F4 the third time, you can see the dollar sign is now put before B and 30 doesn't have any dollar sign. That means my cell reference is now locked to column B, but it's free to move to row 31, 32, 33, just like that. And that's what I want. I want to lock the column but not the row. So I'm going to multiply it times the marks for Elizabeth. Now this one I'm going to leave it as a relative cell reference so that when I move my formula to the side and down, it will keep moving to the rest of the marks. So I'm going to control enter, copy it to the side, and then I'm going to copy it down to all these marks. So when I come here, when I hit the F2 key, you can see that this cell reference stayed locked to column B, but this one kept moving to all this data here. Escape. I'm going to first of all get the sum of all those ones. So I'm going to come here, equals to sum, tab, and then highlight. Control enter, copy it to the side. You can see the sum of all this one is now different. So now let's get the weighted mean. So I'm going to click on this cell, equals to, this is going to be my numerator, divide by the sum of the weight. Now the sum of the weight is 1, That means we are actually going to get the same answer as the sum here. I'm going to hit F4 to lock it, Control Enter. When I copy it to the side, you can see. Now I want you to realize something here. Our arithmetic mean, or the average, was actually 60 for each of these people. But now when we calculated the weighted average, it's actually different. The mean for Elizabeth is actually more than the one for Phillips and Louis. And that's because Elizabeth got 80 on the end of term. And the end of term is actually weighing more than the rest of the set of exams. Now if I do the same example using the sum product, click on this cell, equals to sum product, tab, array 1 is actually going to be the weight. Now this time around I'm going to hit the F4 key to lock it so that when I move my cursor to the right, it will stay locked to the weights. Times array 2, I'm going to start with the Elizabeth. When I close my parentheses and when I hit Control Enter, you can see we are getting the numerator, but I'm going to hit the F2 key to put it in edit mode. We need to divide it by the sum of the weights. So I'm going to highlight the weights and also hit the F4 key to lock it. I'm going to close my parentheses when I Control Enter and then I copy it to the side. You can see we are getting the same answer as this one, but this one here we use the sum product instead of using the upper columns. So we have two more examples to go. Let's scroll down a little bit. So I have the car price survey. Now in most cases when you do a survey, the result of your survey is actually more reasonable when your sample size is actually larger. Now in order for us to consider that element of sample size, instead of calculating the mean of means, we are actually going to calculate the weighted mean. Let's start with the mean. I'm going to click here, equals to average, tab. We just want to compare the two, what we are going to get. We're going to first calculate the mean of the means. So the average is actually $44,429. Now let's calculate the weighted mean and then we compare. Equals to sum product, tab to select it. Array 1 is actually going to be our means, comma, and then the array 2 sample size is actually going to be our weights. So I'm going to highlight the weights, close parentheses, and when I hit enter, this one will give us the numerator, this numerator here. I need to come here and hit the F2 key to put it in edit mode. I now need to divide it by the sum of the sample size, or the sum of the weights. Close parentheses, and when I hit enter, you can see that we are getting slightly a smaller amount compared to the mean, because in the weighted mean we also considered the sample sizes. Now let's scroll down. Our last example is actually going to be the computer transaction in 2024, and the prices kept fluctuating from months to months. Now the unit sold is actually going to act as our weight. Let's use the sum product method, equals to sum product, tab to select it. The array 1, this time around let's start with the prices and then comma. The array 2 is going to be our unit sold, or the weights. Highlight it, and when I close parentheses, right now if I'm to hit Control Enter, this is actually our numerator. I'm going to hit the F2 key. We need to divide it by the sum of the weights, which is the sum of the units sold. Close parentheses, and when I Control Enter, we're having a weighted mean of $599. So that's how important is the weighted mean. Yeah, that is it for this particular video. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and if you found this video interesting, give it a like, then you share it with your friends. This is a video where we talked about 5 different ways how to get the average in Excel. You can click on it, then you go and watch it. Until next video, HMm&S video number 67, then we meet again. Thank you.